Don't want to waste a minute more. Todd Goodman, he's the CEO of Timberline Live Pet Foods, is in the studio, part 3 of our Big Business in Southern Illinois series, and it's good to see him in person again.
Thank you, sir. It's always good to see you.
You know, what's interesting is when I read about you and about your business, I don't know whether it's a curse or whatever, but I have a tendency to see a graph, a trajectory. You mind if I tell you about it?
No, go right ahead.
All right. At the bottom left-hand corner of my graph is a ice box, a refrigerator that's been tumped over and filled with dirt. And then I see this upward trajectory, and at the other end of that trajectory, I see a 747 loaded with mealworms.
It's a fair assumption.
I thought it was accurate.
It's very accurate. I mean, from the origins of where Timberline began, solely as a bait supplier, because remember, my first job was counting worms and then delivering bait. That's kind of the way it's been. It has had a trajectory like that. That's true.
The problem is my trajectory doesn't show the work that had to go in between refrigerator and 747. That, I think, therein lies the story, doesn't it? Because, you know, we had one of those refrigerators out back, right? But we didn't do it. Somebody had to put the work in.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I go back all the way to the early 70s when my dad started the company. I spent a lot of time not necessarily seeing him a lot of hours every day, and that was because of the work he put in, and then the amount of work that it took to transition the business into what we are now was a tremendous amount of work by a whole lot of people.
Some people may not know this, so let's help there. Into what we are today, it's another opportunity. Today, if you're going to say, in the history of my company, Timberline Pet Live Foods, the farthest distance you have sent a shipment of anything live, where would it be?
Oh, heavens. Europe, without question. We ship to Anchorage quite often. We really have shipped them all over the world with regularity. We ship them all over the U.S. with regularity. Again, we entertain orders from outside the country, and we do a lot of that, but it's not really our primary focus.
And what's interesting is when you do something like this and you're shipping live animals, there's a lot of rules that you've got to follow that people may be unaware of. You've got a lot of probably controls on you.
Yes, but the biggest thing is preparing them for shipment to go through all of the temperatures and all of the things that they have to go through. Now, again, everything that ships today will leave our place by 8:15 tonight, and it will all be delivered, virtually all of it, by 10:30 tomorrow morning.
You were doing this before Amazon was doing that.
We were, yeah. I remember watching Amazon come up through the ranks, yeah, for sure.
And because perishable is a whole new world. So who is your primary customer?
Our primary customer overall are, whether it be pet stores or reptile breeders or zoos or sanctuaries or anything, or even propagating places where they're maybe a zoo has an offshoot where they're working on a specific species that they need very specific sizing of their food. So we'll work with them. We usually are working with a lot of simultaneous research projects.
How did you acquire that expertise, Todd?
Well, here's the deal. I grow the bugs, and we let them do their work. Our expertise for shipping them really came from years of doing it right and wrong.
Which one was hardest? I mean, because here's the fact. A lot of these things, especially at the larvae stage, that you saw with some of these, they have very specific parameters for their survival.
Very, and that again is the reason that our model really shows delivery the next day for almost everything we do. Because yes, there are very specific things that can only take so much heat, only so much cool. They do have to have food and water while they go. That has to be something that's very stable in the package.
So you have to have a reliable shipping partner. I mean,
without question, yeah.
That's got to be. Because when you think about this is not you running, a styrofoam cup of worms over to Walmart, right?
Not anymore. No, that's correct.
And worms are pretty tough. Some of these other insects, these thin margins of survival in your hands, breed, created, shipped. And then you hand them off to someone else who's carries your reputation in their hands.
Correct. I will say this, our partnership, we have been partners with FedEx in the past, and we are with UPS now. And UPS understands what we do. They do a very good job of teaching us how they do what they do and us helping our products find their best situation. Just spent an evening at the Worldport in Louisville, watching our packages through the system very recently.
That's a worldwide hub.
It is, and it's an incredible place. But we watch our 8,000 to 10,000 packages every week roll through there.
How many team members you got working for you in Marion creating this product?
I've got about 165 in Marion right now.
Really?
Yep.
What's your turnover like right now? And did it change during COVID? I mean, everything changed, right?
Well, Tom, for us, we never stopped. We're farmers. Remember that. That's the key. That's the one thing I tell people all the time. We never stopped. So Petco, for instance, when it became clear the country was going to be closed down, Petco called UPS, wanted to make sure they were still going to carry the packages. Then they called us to make sure we were going to still fulfill them. So we never stopped. Nothing changed for us. However, the staffing concerns and the issues in their own lives and accommodating all of the things that were going on. It was a very difficult time, and I don't know what the turnover rate is because I don't look at that. I don't usually seek out numbers that bother me.
Right.
But, I mean, the turnover rate is higher than it should be. But what we're trying to get people to understand is we're not stocking shelves at night. We are a farm, and you, as part of our process, are either a farmer. You're either propagating or you're preparing them for shipment.
And a farmer in animals is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.
That is very correct.
That's the life of an animal farmer.
Yep.
That's why I like being a dirt farmer.
Yeah, right. I understand. Well, yeah.
Right? I mean, there were still things to do in the winter, but, because it is a task and a responsibility there as well.
Very much so.
So how do you train them? I mean, do you have a feeder group, for lack of a better word, a veterinarian school, entomologists, universities?
No, actually, we don't. We train them ourselves because we do things differently than most places. I say most places. There aren't a lot of people that do what we do, but we do things very differently, and we would just rather teach them that process. Now, we do engage with and have people that work with us that are entomologists and comparative nutrition people and things like that help us become better at what we do.
All right, so there's one part of your story that I do not quite understand yet. I'm hoping you can help me. What is Assurance Farm? This is a new – are you done constructing this?
No, we're mid-process right now.
Okay, what is Assurance Farm? Why its name? Why do you find the need? When I look at this, I found it daunting.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking at the material here, we accomplish our goals by using redundancy, technical and innovative breeding, premium nutrition, sophisticated climate systems, and rigorous biosecurity measures, all of which give me anxiety attacks, to be able to achieve these goals. So what is Assurance Farm and its protecting feeder insect sustainability?
Okay, so obviously there are a lot of people that rely a lot on what we do. There are a lot of animals that have to be fed every week by the foods that we produce. Insects, just like poultry and swine and everything else, have their own issues that can happen with viruses and different things. We are not exempt from that. So what our new Assurance Farm is down on Lake of Egypt Road is it is essentially going, phase one is 40,000 square feet. The purpose of it is to propagate every species we grow at the main Timberline farm and maintain them behind a firewall of biosecurity. So that is both testing inbound and out, or not inbound, but outbound, so that we know what viruses and things are not present. Obviously, that's very important to us. But it's important to our industry. It's important to the industries that we're involved with because there are viruses that have killed entire species before. 2008 in this country, you couldn't find mealworms hardly. And that was simply because there was a virus that had come in from Europe.
And that's a standard. That's basically
standard.
A loaf of bread in your industry, isn't it?
That's correct. Crickets are the same way. They have viruses. So when you when you come on our farm, you have to go through footpaths, and nobody from the Timberline farm can be regularly employed at the Assurance Farm simply because we do not want to carry we want biosecurity between the two farms.
Right. Even now, we're seeing just people saying, Cricket Central. We've worked with Timberline for years at IDES and Mantricon as well. Todd Goodman, great guy. And if you ever get a chance, you want to go take a tour, which I'm hoping and would have hoped to already, but our schedules have kept us busy.
You will enjoy it.
So this Assurance Farm, when I originally read this, was this a response from COVID?
Oh, no, not at all. No, this is just a logical response We're very forward thinking, and I'm thinking about 20, 30, 50 years from now. I won't be involved anymore, but someone will. And so we have to protect those species. We're very specific about what we can ship around the country for food, and we have to protect the ones we've got.
And your shipping partners want you to be clean too.
Well, I mean, obviously, we want them to be
Begin
clean.
to
They
end,
want
yeah.
us to be clean. But in reality, that farm becomes the security for our entire industry, not just for our own farm.
You know how it's interesting, when I read the first material, how I interpreted it? I really like my dog. And if somebody fed my dog that wasn't good food, I'd be really not a happy person. And that's how I looked at this, because I had a pet lizard. Grabbed him down at Dixon Springs.
Gotcha.
And I was very attached to my lizard.
Of course.
And, and when he died, I was quite sad about it, very upset. And it's weird, is that's how I looked at this, was an assurance that the thing that I love, and people can question why I love it, that's up to them.
Sure.
But it's mine, I love it, and I know other people like this, and you're thinking, you love a lizard? People,
Absolutely.
Right? That's the way I looked at it. You want to make sure that you're not giving me anything bad for my pet.
That is 100%. That is what Timberline is all about. But the Assurance Farm is one very expensive step beyond that to make certain that everybody in this country is protected as far as their animals and exotic animals go.
So you talked about, this is the thing, the Assurance Farm is the thing that you want to do for 20, 30 years, sustainability, keeping your business alive, that responsibility, that heritage, that stewardship. So what's next for you?
More Assurance Farm. The phase 1 is 40,000 square feet. Phase 2 will be at least that again. And I don't have a timeline for that. We've got to get the first phase done, and we've got to get all those buildings occupied and producing, and the testing protocols and everything in place.
You know, one of the things I like most about your business, you bring money from all over the world and bring it here, and it goes out as payroll.
That's correct.
You know, there's churn, right? That, I work here and I don't know, I need to buy a steak from Small's Meat Markets. They're coming up as a sponsor.
I love that place.
All right. So I go to Small's, and we churn within our own economy, and I get from the radio station. They give me commercial advertising dollars. I go take that money, buy a steak, right, and they give me more. Yours, you bring money from all over the world and drop it into Marion, Illinois, into Williamson County, Illinois. The economic impact of that is something really unique.
Yeah, again, there is not 1% of our customers within a 200-mile radius of here. The majority of our customers are just spread out all over the country and all over the world. So I do like that. I've always liked that aspect, that we're not taking local money. We're going out and drawing money from outside of our economy and dropping it all right here into our payroll and purchasing and everything else.
How many different species do you raise?
That's a good question. I don't know that I've ever added them up. I would say at least 10.
Yeah, so it's like crickets, mealworms, superworms, waxworms, black soldier fly larvae, hornworms, flightless fruit flies, and that's just a few.
Right, right. We do, and all have their own special place. Black soldier flies, for instance, are very high in calcium as a larvae, and calcium is very important to captive bred and
Don't you do
raised
something
animals.
special to create calciworms or something that's a specific product, or is that just inherent in the breed?
That is inherent in the breed. Ironically, when the black soldier fly emerges from the larvae, they have zero calcium in them. It's just the worm. And these I used to see as a kid and as an adult underneath my chicken and duck hutches and whatnot, because they naturally consume a lot of waste. And we use them in our trade specifically for the addition of the calcium.
All right. You've got big buildings that require temperature control. I assume you got electric bill that you're like, come on. Thinking maybe anybody got a solar panel?
Right.
Yeah, right. You've got 160 employees. You're building one farm. You're getting ready to build another. When you look at this and the employees and the money coming from around the world, how do you qualify the economic impact that Timberline Live Pet Foods has in Marion, Williamson County, and the region?
Whew. You know, Tom, here's the deal. I am a really bad back patter, so I've never even looked at those things. But I can tell you it's extreme because, again, you can view it as 100% of our payroll has been brought in from somewhere else through sales to companies throughout the country. And I do like that part of it.
All right. Here's Rita. Where could I purchase some of Todd's mealworms? My birds love them.
Local pet stores, so D's, you can find them at. You can find them at Petco in Carbondale, PetSmart in Paducah, places like that.
I know Timberline is a national distributor. Can I go there and buy bait?
Well, here's the issue. I just answered this question for somebody the other day. You have to think of it in the terms of how we prepare things. Most people that want to go fishing go into their bait shop and they buy a dozen crickets, 2 dozen crickets. That's not how we package what we do. So what we do are in much larger quantities. Like, think of it as SAMs for bugs. They're very large quantities that most people don't need. And we just don't package them any other way, unless we're doing like a pre-pack for private label or something like that, or for Petco or PetSmart.
Yeah, I like that. The other thing that strikes me interesting, there's an ick factor for your bugs.
Sure.
Bugs haven't, right? You've seen people go nuts because got caught in their hair. I
Sure.
don't have that problem. I don't think you would do either.
I'm all right.
But what I notice when I look at your packaging, I touch it, look at it, what I do notice is the effort it takes to create a pleasing product for the eye. We're not talking about a styrofoam cup written with styrofoam in the back of a refrigerator.
Right.
That in the marketplace, your product stands out among the other packaging. It's unique, it's live, and it's pleasing to the eye to overcome the ick factor of people. I'm buying bugs, and you don't need to get the tweezers
Right.
out and do that. That was the thing that was kind of my takeaway. Who does that for you?
It's intentional. We decided years ago, I decided along with my team years ago, that if we're a commodity, and we kind of are, most people don't go to the store and go, I want a specific brand of sugar. But we are a commodity, so we decided that instead of dressing ourselves up like everybody else, we would present it in a way that actually made us look far more professional and was a good reflection on our company. And furthermore, it is more appealing to the consumer. And that's essentially what all of those retailers are trying to do.
So when you look on the shelf, is
Yep.
that why you changed it from Timberline to Timberline Live Pet Foods? I mean, because Marketing 101, one of these guys I knew when I was younger, you should say what you sell and what town you're in. That,
Right,
right.
right.
And if you don't do that, but, yours.
So for us, our corporate name is Timberline Fisheries. Take Timberline Fisheries' name into the pet space, and they are immediately going to believe we are involved with fish. So we removed that years ago from in our forward-facing to our customers, but we added live pet food simply for that. We needed to be very specific at a glance. What is it Timberline does? What do we do, and what do we not do? We don't do shoes. That's Timberland, somebody else altogether. Timberline, we do live pet foods. That is what we do.
I look at you as an elite group. When it comes to marrying employers, and I'm talking among friends, marrying Pepsi, Ison, Timberline.
We're fairly good-sized employers, and yeah, we usually come up in the mix.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Which is a darn sight far from a tumped-over refrigerator.
Yeah. It is a bit different, but again, most people don't. In this area, people don't really know who we are because they know who we are, but they don't really understand what we do. Because I still have people on the street ask me, "So, do you sell lures?" And no, not anymore. We don't do lures anymore. We
Right.
did that as a distributor years ago, but not anymore.
Like I said, Todd, you're one of my favorite stories, buddy.
Appreciate that.
It's good to see you in person again.
Always good to be seen.
And I really want to take you up on that tour.
You
I'm more
should.
than a little bit interested in that.
You should. I think between the two farms, you'll be baffled.
And then maybe we can get you back because even now people are saying, thanks, Tom, great interview. I mean, we've done a great job, I think, so far of covering some interesting jobs in yours. And I'm not ashamed of this. One of my favorite stories in Southern Illinois, bar none.
No, I appreciate that.
Right.
Thank you.
And so part of it's, being around to watch it from outside in. I follow you on Facebook and where you're going and planes inspections.
Right.
I would imagine you're going to get some extra pages in the back of your passport, my friend.
I try not to leave the country anymore. I'm fine staying right here in the U.S.
Todd Goodman. He's the CEO of Timberline Live Pet Foods in Marion. Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.